Does this look similar to any of the, either one of the black bags you saw there that particular night?
No, not that I remember.
Alan Park's testimony is potentially pivotal in this trial. In many ways, he seems to be an ideal witness with no particular axe to grind. And Park has scored some major points for the prosecution.
Good morning, Mr. Park.
Good morning.
First, Park undermined O.J.'s alibi that he was at home at the time of the murders. The limo driver testified that he did not see O.J.'s white Bronco at the mansion when he tried to pick up O.J. for his trip to the airport. Park also says he repeatedly rang O.J.'s buzzer to no avail.
Nobody was answering. I didn't think anyone was home, so.
And that was at 10:43, was it, p.m.?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Backing up the prosecution's timeline for murder, telephone records that show Park was on the phone to his boss at 10:55 when he claims he saw a shadowy figure come to the entranceway of Simpson's house.
6 foot, 200 pounds.
6 foot, 200 pounds?
All dark clothing.
Could you tell whether the person was Caucasian or African American?
Black.
Park says the next time he rang the buzzer, O.J. answered almost immediately.
He told me that he overslept and he just got out of the shower and he'd be down in a minute.
That statement may contradict the defense alibi that Simpson was chipping golf balls at the time of the murders, but the low-key witness also worked well for Johnny Cochran's attempt at damage control on cross-examination.
Did you ever see any Band-Aids on his left hand, on his left knuckle, middle finger here?
No.
Park also testified that O.J.'s behavior at the airport appeared normal, much to the delight of the defense team.
You think that a man who would be involved in a case like this would be worried about a 20% tip, or would be worried about signing autographs at the airport, who had no blood or anything on his finger? This was a great witness.
What began as a simple drive to the airport turned into a major trip to the witness stand for Alan Park. Jeff Cole takes a look at the limo driver's life before the Simpson trial.
Witness after witness has taken the stand. For some, there have been tears. For others, confrontations. And for Alan Park, a 25-year-old former limo driver, it looked like an ordeal he'd rather skip.
I don't know why anybody would want to go through some of the things that some of the witnesses are going through.
Alan's mother, Wendy Park, who ironically is a defense attorney herself, spoke to us about her son, who declined to be interviewed before he's done testifying in court.
How has this changed his life?
He lost some of his freedom, and that's because of the press.
But his mom says this fame has cost him his privacy.
They were involved in driving stars to a particular event, and Alan was more recognized by the press than some of the stars were, and he didn't like that.
Park has been described as a laid-back surfer dude who's been working odd jobs since he graduated from high school 7 years ago. Gary Crawford grew up with Park in Torrance, California. Crawford says the notoriety from the Simpson case is so great that Alan started to receive fan mail from around the country.
They send pictures of him, self-portrait, and say, could you please autograph this and send it back? And which he does, and he'll write a little note in there saying, you know, this is not a great thing that's happened to me.
But with Park at center stage on the witness stand, it brings to mind other witnesses like Mark Furman and Rosa Lopez, who had their lives turned inside out. For Park's time in the spotlight, his mom, who is also his attorney, has some advice.
As a mother, sit up straight. As an attorney, I give the same advice I'd give to any client or to any witness. Tell the truth.
One more note about Alan Park. He has left the limo business to become a ranch hand. Meanwhile, it looks as if the prosecution may be on a roll. They claim to have yet another damaging witness, a woman who is expected to testify that O.J. argued with someone during a cell phone conversation the day of the murders. The prosecution claims that someone was Nicole Brown Simpson. However, defense attorney Carl Douglas downplayed the witness's importance.
We had an occasion to speak with the witness herself yesterday evening, and when she was informed that there was a suggestion that she would testify that Mr. Simpson was angry and was yelling, she was somewhat disappointed that her statements to the police could be so misconstrued.
And finally, outside court, Simpson's good friend Al Cowlings was spotted in New York this week. AC spent Monday evening at the Topless Club Scores, but reportedly left abruptly after this photo was taken.
Thanks, Joe. Still ahead today, the lowdown on the love lost between Lyle and Julia. But first, an exclusive talk with one of Nicole Brown Simpson's oldest friends and the regrets she has today. Today, Nanette Barusha has the story of Eve Chen, a longtime friend of Nicole's who is only now telling her story for the first time.
Oh, I remember when she, first met him, she says, I have somebody I want you to meet. I said, who is it? She said, I really, really like him. She says, but I think you're going to know who he is.
For Eve Chen, memories of 1977 come flooding back like it was yesterday.
They were so in love. I was so happy for her. I mean, what else can you be when all you see is these two people adoring each other?
The cowboys are coming up the trail.
Back then, life seemed perfect, and at least on the outside it was.
I mean, we're talking 2.5 here. We're not talking 4 or 5. We're talking 2.5 years old.
But it appears that love alone couldn't prevent O.J. Simpson from physically abusing Nicole. And for someone like Eve Chen, who was so close to Nicole for 20 years, sorting out the whys is all she has left of her loving friendship.
From the outside, they appeared to have this picture-perfect lifestyle. Was it shocking to you when you heard about the domestic violence?
Absolutely. And I think not just shock, it's disbelief. It's also someone that you respected and loved and trusted so much, and you wonder, how did we not know?
What would you have done if she would have said something?
I think we would have been up there, and in 2 seconds, we would have, we would have broken down the door and grabbed her and dragged her out if we had to.
Does that hurt now? That you couldn't or didn't have that chance?
I think it's beyond hurt. It's you can't pick up that phone. You can't hear her say, hey, what's happening?
For Eve Chen, Nicole was like a sister. They met here at Dana Hills High School when the Brown family moved to Laguna. They instantly became best friends. It was only 2 years before Nicole would fall in love with O.J. Simpson. Nicole and Eve were sweet 16-year-olds living a charmed California life on the beaches in Laguna Hills.
I think the minute the Browns arrived in Laguna, everybody knew. All the girls in high school were immediately jealous, and all the boys in school knew whoever they were. Did you hear about Nicole? Did you hear about Denise? Aren't they the most beautiful girls?
What was Nicole like as a teenager?
Fun, happy, vivacious. When she walked into a room, it's like sunshine, sunny, but at the same time, she wasn't frivolous. She was very deep as a person. She never dated a lot because boys were friends, and she hadn't found that right person.
But that right person did come along. Not long after her high school graduation, Nicole met O.J. Simpson, a meeting that would propel her into a Hollywood lifestyle of luxurious mansions, fast cars, and beautiful people.
Did you stay in contact with Nicole after her marriage to O.J.?
Yes and no, because ultimately, I didn't feel comfortable around O.J. I didn't feel comfortable around the people that were his friends.
Why not?
The men were, I call them the wolf pack. They kind of treated you like an object. They felt that they had their way because they were these guys, these men. And I didn't like that kind of attitude.
But it didn't seem to bother Nicole?
No, but at the same time I felt that she brought a wholesomeness to it. She always tried to have cookouts. She always made it really homey. And that's the one thing that I saw, that she was always trying to make it into what she grew up in, which is a really sort of a tight-knit family atmosphere.
That tight-knit family is no different now. The Browns are caring for Nicole's children, Justin and Sydney, who Eve visits regularly when she isn't attending the trial. But if anything is particularly hurtful to Eve about these proceedings, it is the reviews leveled at her close friend Denise Brown following her heart-wrenching testimony.
And then he grabbed me and threw me out of the house.
When I saw the news reports that evening, it made me so angry that they didn't have any decency just to say, you know, this is her testimony. They had to say, oh, what a performance. And do they understand what it feels like to have their little sister murdered?
Be fine.
You hadn't seen her break down like that before, had you?
No. The only other time that Denise really, really broke down was when we were on the phone. She says, you know, she says, you won't believe what I have to do right now. She says, I have to pick out a dress to bury Nick in. She says, I can't believe I'm burying my little sister.
This is for cups. This is for ice.
What are your feelings now about O.J. Simpson?
I don't even want to put any energy toward that. I mean, beside the fact of what's going on in this trial, what he did to Nicole for 17 years, I think that's unforgivable. How can anyone do that to a person and still get up in the morning and smile and go out and play a game of golf?
Eve told us that unlike other players in the Simpson saga, she has absolutely no intention of writing a book.